One. Welcome in to episode 2 of the Need for Seeds College Basketball Podcast, part of the Betting the Pitch podcast network. I'm your host, the real_G Warner, and we got Big East Ben. I don't know what other way to describe someone wearing a bandana live on a video podcast.
Handsome.
Strong as well. So on this episode, we're going to go through some news and notes of what's happened the first couple of days of the college basketball season. We'll have best bets end of show, including a Big East best bet because Big East Ben couldn't survive an episode without one of those. And then we will also go through some of the biggest matchups on Friday. Should be a pretty loaded card in college basketball. So Ben, why don't you deliver us your news and notes for this week, or at least the most important topics to you?
Yeah, I think the big shocker from opening night was the Dukies, not the Dukies, but the Dukies from Virginia, James Madison taking down Izzo in East Lansing. No one saw that coming. I don't know what the spread was, but I'm sure it was 20 plus. Michigan State shot 1 of 20 from 3. I haven't seen Michigan State shoot that badly in a game since 2 games ago, which was actually their tournament game against Marquette, where they started 0 for 13. Somehow they ended up winning that game. But that was a big shocker. We had Bill Self, a man of honor and integrity, getting a $50 million contract. We had Princeton taking down Rutgers, kind of an even matchup, but I miss the days of college basketball when you had remember the 24-hour kickoff where you had games at 9 in the morning. I remember once I went to UMass one at 10 in the morning. Bill Raftery was on the call. It was a great day, but yeah, we had to bring back that because it's kind of a hodgepodge of an opener.
Well, your Big East Ben, but the ESPN would probably have to hire more people considering they keep doing layoffs in order to staff an entire 24-hour marathon. But then again, they're probably all freelancers anyway, so it probably could be done. I might as well remind everyone, if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. Plus, if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave a 5-star review. It'd be huge for us in the search rankings. And you can retweet stuff. You can tweet at us as well, at Big East Ben on Twitter. I'm at the real_G Warner. And so let's get into the 4 matchups that we're going to highlight and then go into our best bets. I guess I'll give one thing that was interesting to me, and that was the collapse of the Auburn Tigers, my 66-1 future that I put out there. Up 9 at halftime, up 9 pretty much throughout the entire game, it felt. But Bruce Pearl and a offense that really has no idea what they're doing, with a 5-star guard who seems to be running the show in game 1, couldn't hold on against Scott Drew. What do you think about that one before we get into our 4-pack of games?
Yeah, when I turned that on, did not expect them to be playing at the Pentagon in South Dakota. Bruce Pearl didn't really have a great explanation for playing there, except we wanted to be relevant. Why don't you go play them in Waco if you want to be relevant? I didn't understand that.
Because he didn't want to lose, that's why. And going to Waco would be an L.
Still football season.
It was also still an L, so it might not have mattered. It would have helped his strength of schedule, that's for sure.
And that Holloway kid on Auburn's for real. But then the Jacoby guy, freshman on Baylor, he can really shoot. I think with the Keen Pale skit, Jacoby. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we don't have last names. We're just going Jacoby. I'm sure J.A. capital K. He was jacking threes the whole night, and they were going in at a really high clip. Just one of those things in college basketball. It's a grind because no one is truly, what's dead will never die. J.A. apostrophe Kobe, actually, Jacoby Walter, yes, with a big performance. And a big comeback win, and one that might matter coming down to seeding later in the tournament. It's time of the season, but we got a long way to get to there. So let's start with our first matchup. We'll go to Ohio State. They are at home against Texas A&M. I think number 15 in the country, Texas A&M. My guess and my number, I was making A&M a slight, 1-point underdog on the road at Ohio State. And it looks like Torvik has Texas A&M a 2-point underdog. So I'm in the neighborhood. Feels good, at least a little bit. What do you think about these two teams coming into the year, and what's your take on this matchup?
Yeah, it was interesting seeing the spread between Ken Palm and Torvik. Um, yeah, I mean, Ohio State at home. I think the fans will be staying in and getting a good rest for the Buckeyes football game against Michigan State the next day, possibly also researching ways where they can incarcerate every Michigan Wolverine football player. So I don't think the crowd's going to be in it. Ohio State wasn't a great home team at all last year. Their best win was Maryland at home. Under 500 team, 12-16. Bryce Sensabaugh was there for 1 year, said, peace out. I'd rather be a late round draft pick. Sean McNeil also left, your good buddy.
Yes, I have a
Texas
picture. I have
A&M,
a picture with him that I think you took.
yes, in Morgantown. Texas A&M, dark horse, some people's, dark horse for a national championship. They bring back Wade Taylor, second team All-American. One of the best offensive rebounding in the country, offensive rebounding teams in the country last year, Texas A&M. Ohio State was one of the worst defensive rebounding teams. Ohio State also very bad defending the three ball. So I think Buzz's guys are going to have a lot of opportunities to pop it from long range, and if they miss, they're going to have a lot of opportunities to clean up the boards.
I mean, to your point about the football crowds, that is relevant. I do think it's probably one of those things where they might be able to fit in a college basketball game on Friday night and a college football game on Saturday. I think that's probably possible, especially if you bleed Buckeye, red, scarlet, whatever in gray their colors are. So I wouldn't discount them too much. I do.
Yeah, but Griff, I mean, you got the number one football team in the country versus a team that went under 500 last year. I mean,
what else is there to do in Columbus, Ohio, dude? I know we're pissing off half our audience.
Greg Oden and Mike Conley were there. They were still second, but
Oh, I mean, yes, they will be forever behind the Ohio State football team. Yes, I agree. But if they're not playing at exactly the same time window, there's a pretty good chance people are going to be watching in the nut house, as they call it, I believe, or used to. I'm going to say I don't know that I have a pick for this one. I think I leaned Ohio State, if anything. Which one do you prefer?
I'm taking the Aggies. I would bet the Aggies up to -3.
All right, there we go. A little disagreement to start a podcast. What's better than that, Next, we'll go to another big game. I'm wearing a jersey of a rival. Shout out Davis Rand. We'll go to Duke and John Shire, famous head coach, who I'm not sure he knows what he's doing just yet. But they got a weird home game. They usually, under Coach K and kind of Jim Boeheim style, would never play a team of the pulse until January, it seemed. I'm sure Davis will thank me for mentioning that. But Arizona comes to town, which is kind of a big surprise for me. Torvik's got the Duke Blue Devils a 6-point favorite. I made Duke a 5-point favorite, so that's basically home court. Arizona's been a much better program for years. We got a lot of teams coming back. We talked about this on our top 10 show. I'm not sure, or on the first episode, which had Ben's top 10 on it. I'm not sure that we got to Arizona or that they were on the list. So what?
They were not.
They were not. So top 10 team at home against a not top 10 team on the road. That makes me think that you're going to take the Dukies here.
You're correct. Yes, I'm going with the Shire boys. I mean, when was the last time Arizona played a true road game like this in their program's history? I don't know. I didn't feel like researching it. I bet it's
they played Gonzaga for years and years and years, home and away. But I guess that's not exactly the same. And Gonzaga was not that same caliber of program then. That's the only one that comes off the top of my head.
Also traveling west to east, that could be a factor. Zona lost, I think, like 50 points per game in scoring last year between graduates and transfers. Devils return more of their core from last year. I do think Arizona's going to be good, but I think it's going to take a little bit for the new guys like Love and the Kashad Johnson kid from San Diego State to, integrate. Both offenses are evenly matched. I think Duke has a good edge, though, in defense. Arizona was one of the worst teams at defending the three last year. I think Duke improves on their three-point shooting from last year and turns more into the Duke type of Duke's team that we got in the know through the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah, so I'm not a believer in Duke's three-point shooting. They're going to have to prove it to me first. But I will say on the other side, Caleb Love is one of the worst basketball players to have a bet on. Unfortunately, if he makes threes, it's great, and you'll probably win your bet because he's going to shoot a lot of them. But for the most part, he has never really shown a conscience, and it's driven me absolutely insane. But it's also drove me insane enough to just want to bet against Carolina when he was there for a long time. We haven't mentioned Carolina yet. I'm not sure when we'll get to them on this podcast, but hopefully stay with us the next few weeks. Maybe they'll come up and be relevant at some point. But that's a big concern for me in the Arizona backcourt. Love Umar Bala. I still feel like he's going to push Kyle Filipowski around and really make him realize what it's like to be from Mali as opposed to wherever the heck Filipowski's from. And from this point, I like Arizona. I don't know that I want to play like you said, west to east, far from home. I'm not sure that matters so much early in the year, but Arizona's first away game last season was Utah, which they got smoked. I think they shot like 12% from three. We saw how that goes for teams like Michigan State. So might be one of those that I stay away from. Do you got a pick for this one? You want to lay the points and lay 6, let's say, with Duke?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be one of those like 5-point games that stretches to 8 or 9 with free throws down the stretch. On the top of Caleb Love, you forgot to mention he also went through a messy divorce this season with Armando Bacot. So how's that going to affect his mind?
Wow, I'm not rarely speechless, but I don't even know where to go with that one. But I hope Mondo is able to. I hope they've unblocked. What?
You didn't see that quote from Bacot?
I did see it, but I hadn't thought about it in a little while.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I wasn't prepared to talk about it. But, hopefully they unblocked each other from Instagram and things have moved in the right direction. Speaking of right directions, let's move to Greg Gard and the Wisconsin Badgers. They are our next game on our list. They have a home game against the Tennessee Volunteers. And Torvik has Wisconsin a 1-point favorite to Tennessee at home. I'm not sure I'm a believer at all in Wisconsin, especially their I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but they're white boys against the big dudes from Tennessee that are coming in. And I don't think that's going to work very well for Wisconsin. I'm not sure they'll even get a rebound, and they couldn't shoot last year at all. My number was Tennessee as a 1-point favorite. Torvik's got Tennessee as a 1-point dog. Let's go with Torvik because he's a mathematician. I like Tennessee.
I also like Tennessee. Wisconsin actually had worse offensive defensive splits at home than on the road last year. Lost to Wake Forest, Northwestern, Rutgers at home. The days of Bo Ryan are gone where they had I think they won like 35 or 40 straight at the Kohl Center at one point. Wisconsin was pretty sloppy with the ball last season. Tennessee's pretty good at forcing turnovers. And then I'm high on Tennessee. I know they were in my top 10, but I think they're in the Final Four last year if Ziegler doesn't get hurt. They brought in this kid, Dalton Connect, I think it's Connect, from Northern Colorado, averaged 20 points a game last year, had 17 in the opener against Tennessee Tech. I think he brings with him some of that offensive firepower that will get him over the hump this year and have them, be able to pull away in some of those rock fights that they're used to.
Yeah, rock fight is definitely expected in this one. Tennessee certainly has shown that they can have games where they shoot 12% from three. I don't know why that number keeps sticking out in my mind. But Wisconsin, that's what they're made for. The rock fight games at home, they're try their best. And probably I would expect them to be worse at home, maybe shooting wise, because they're probably more likely to shoot long distance shots, which they just haven't really been capable in that area. I don't really see from this roster that it's changed too much. They still got Chucky Hepburn as their expected top contributor, who is not an offensive player, in my humble opinion. Connor Sagian, I think, is their, hey, you're a sophomore, not a freshman now. The best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores. So I think the idea here is that he's going to have to carry the scoring load. It's him, Max Klesmet. I don't believe in that either. They're going to have to prove it, especially against a bunch of dudes that Tennessee's bringing in. So hopefully this new guy can connect on some threes and we can kick Tennessee all the way to the bank. Last but not least, we'll go for our 4-pack. So of course, everything in my apartment's going off, beeps and things of that nature. Hopefully that's cut off by Zoom. We'll see. But I'm going next to San Diego State. They're on the road. They're actually going to Provo, Utah, to the Marriott Center to take on BYU. Torvik has San Diego State a 1-point favorite. I expected BYU to be a slight Actually, I expect them to be a 3-point dog, to be real. So San Diego State, great run in the championship last year, miracle win in the Final Four to get to the final game, and then really weren't that competitive against UConn, but UConn was thrashing pretty much everybody. A lot of the good players have returned. They added Reese Dixon Waters, which should help a little bit, but pretty much San Diego State never going to have a ton of pretty players. They're just going to beat you up Tennessee style. And I'm not sure BYU are going to be ready for it. Though the big Mormons, they generally do pretty well at home, have a big fan base as well. I guess by your logic, the football team hasn't been doing very well so far. So what do we think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is your classic Power Six against the mid-major, right?
Whoa, yes, classic.
No
Got
word
him.
to say. Um, yeah, I mean, I like the Cougars at home. They serve alcohol at the Marriott Center.
Doubtful.
Yeah, yeah. Someone knows that, right into us.
Yeah.
But
Tweet us at the pitch betting, at Big East Ben, at the real underscore G Warner. I don't think it's really allowed in Mormon culture, but I will admit I'm not an expert.
yeah, yeah. Neither is coffee or having premarital sex.
Sorry, Brandon
Those are,
Davies.
yeah, yeah. Just the torpedo a whole season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like BYU. I think San Diego State lost the Davis guy, their best player last year. They lost the Johnson kid to Arizona. I think Provo will be rocking, hosting the national runners up. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's Mark Pope's second season. It was kind of a down year last year. I expect to see some improvement out of BYU.
Yeah, not second season. This is season number 5, but glad you're paying attention. From my perspective, from my 5 years, yep. But the problem for BYU is no matter how long Mark Pope has been there, they can't shoot, or at least they couldn't for a lot of the season. Turned the ball over a ton. Got better towards the end of last year, but it's been a little while since this team's been good. Fusiani, Big Fu Traore, 6'6" as their center, is going to be dealing with a lot better athletes at the same height. Don't know that he's going to be able to push people around. That's my biggest concern. San Diego State, they are a team that honestly have not had any good success. I backed them a lot in their rise years and years ago, but ever since they've been on top, I've really struggled betting against them. So I don't know necessarily that I want to do that here, especially in a really tough venue. But I think BYU really has to prove it. So I think I actually lean to San Diego State at the moment. But that'll do it for our 4-pack of games. These are all, I think, on Friday. So make sure you listen to this episode. We're recording this Wednesday night, of course, projecting lines since we don't have them yet. But you might as well jump on our advice as much as you can. We will also be giving out some best bets. But before we get there, of course, if you're on YouTube, please hit subscribe. For on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, leave a 5-star review. It's huge for our search rankings. Also, if you're not a member yet of Sportsbetting.ag, check that out. We have a link in the podcast description, good for double up from your initial deposit up to $500. So if you got the scratch, throw 500 in. You get 500 to play with from Sportsbetting.ag. Link is below. And they should be able to, if that doesn't work, please let us know, but it should. And then if you're also not a member at BetOnline just yet, there's a 50% sign up bonus using my promo code GW50. I would take the 2-to-1 instead of the 50%, but you do you. And if you're already a member at sportsbetting.ag or at BetOnline, go sign up with the other one and take that free money while you can. So we'll start with Big East Ben at Big East Ben on Twitter. What is our best bet? Or I guess you give us 2 because you got a Big East bet and then you got a regular one. So start with however you'd like.
Yeah, best bet. This game should sound familiar. Tennessee at Wisconsin. I'm taking the under. Ken Palm has it at 138. Torvik has it at 130. This game's gonna be in the 50s. It's a Big Ten team against a pseudo Big Ten team. It's early in the season. Guys are, energized to play defense. The shooting isn't as crisp. Yeah, I mean, I see this game being like 23-21 at the half and ending in the 50s.
So Torvik has it 129. I mean, unfortunately, with early season totals, good luck knowing where it's going to be. I gotta say, Wisconsin's throwing up 105 points against Arkansas State. Probably might change things and make that number a little bit better for us to play under. Maybe also the 129% efficiency ratings from Wisconsin that first game, plus 70% expected field goal percentage. 50% from three. That's not going to continue. And I think only gets us extra points to go under for that matchup. Now you got some more for it, or you want to give us your Big East pick?
Yeah, the Big East pick is DePaul, not going to cover -2 against Long Beach State. Long Beach State will win outright. I don't know if anyone saw DePaul's game against Fort Wayne. I was Purdue, Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne,
There we go. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
on Tuesday night. They lost outright. I think they lost by 7 to the number 260 KenPom team in the country. Long Beach State is 130 in KenPom. They won their conference 2 years ago. Injuries last year derailed their season. They got a lot of the same guys back from that conference championship team in 2021. DePaul should be kicked out of the Big East. Tony Stubblefield looks like Dave Lieto got battery acid poured on him. So I
Oh,
don't know.
oh my gosh.
Not to be mean, but what are you thinking as a program? Hiring a guy that looks like your other crappy coach got battery acid poured on him. He's ridiculous. Give me Long Beach State over to Paul.
Also, an interesting story about the Long Beach State head coach, Dan Munson. I think he's still there. He was basically in his contract. He gets like the proceeds, like maybe he splits it with the university for every road game, every bye game that he gets. So usually he schedules the big ones because the big teams have a lot of money to throw out there. I don't know if DePaul really is on that level, though they certainly are stealing money from the Big East in that revenue share type situation. But getting himself,
he gets half
it's
of
probably
the
not half.
cupcake payout.
It's probably not half, but he gets it is a significant portion of his salary because I mean, Long Beach State can only pay so much. But yeah, it's in his contract, and it's an ingenious move in a world of just trying to get your own while you can, and I really support him. So that does it for Big East Ben. And just to summarize Big East Ben's picks for this episode 2 of Need for Seeds, he's going Tennessee. I'll give under 130 as his best bet. And then the Big East one is fading DePaul, Long Beach State +2. For my best bet, I'm going to go against the heart-wrenching story of America, as Big East Ben put it. Might have been before the show started, but I'm going to take Kent State, a 3-point favorite at home against James Madison. This game's happening on Thursday, so make sure you get that in. Looks like it might be moving as well. There's some 3.5s out there as well right now, plus a 3 at bookmakers. So grabbing that one. Kent State lost some players, but they're a really good team. And I think MAC home court advantage is always underrated in college basketball. So take Kent State -3. And then for Big East Ben's Big East pick, you go Long Beach State +2. And then his regular one, Tennessee under 130. And that'll get you done for this episode of Need for Seeds. So thanks for tuning in. Of course, if you're on whatever platform, we appreciate you supporting us. It helps more if you subscribe or if you leave a 5-star review. Eat your heart out, John Fanta. Ben is here, clearly calling you out for not watching DePaul at home against the Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne Mastodons in a opening season loss. And I'm going to stop being tongue-tied. Do you have anything to say, Big East Ben, before we get out of here?
I'm a big Fanta fan. Would love to have him on the show if he's
okay. So at John Fanta, we might link you in here and figure out if we can get 3 people on a Zoom call because we'll see how that goes. But thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next Wednesday for another Thursday release. Hopefully we get some best bets to get through the door. And looking forward to a 3-0 week. Thanks to Big East Ben, and we will talk to you all very soon.